Hello. This video is all about developing fine motor control or fine motor skills. And what we mean by fine motor control or fine motor skills is developing the smaller muscles within the hands and the wrists sufficiently so that small objects can be held with sufficient grip and dexterity. So actions such as holding a pencil, doing up a button, holding scissors, and even constructing with things like Lego because they're small pieces. Now, when we talk about gross motor skills, so there's fine motor skills and there's gross motor skills. So fine motor skills are the ones, muscles that are in our hands and our wrists, and the gross motor skills is all to do with the development and coordination of the larger muscles within the body as well as the balance. So going back to fine motor skills, before fine motor skills develop, we need to make sure that the gross motor skills are well developed first, because these are the muscles that are going to support the fine motor skills. So when we think about, for example, a child writing, we need to make sure that the muscles in the neck, the arms, the shoulder, the back, and the core muscles are all really well developed, because these are the muscles, when you think about sitting down and writing, these are the muscles that you need to hold yourself in the right position to be able to write. So ideally, we need to make sure that the gross motor skills are well developed first. Now, to do this, we would encourage you to make sure that your child is walking and not using the pushchair. I've done a video about reducing the use of pushchair and why this is going to be of benefit to your child. But I didn't mention about the fine motor skills. So one good way of developing gross motor skills is just ensuring that your child can move about freely, and that means walking as well. Another thing you can do is to allow them to use climbing frames at the park, to be able to pull themselves up, anything that exercises all their muscles, and just allowing them as many opportunities as you can to play outside, because it's only really outside that they will get to exercise these gross motor muscles, the muscles in our legs, the muscles in our core, the muscles in our back and our shoulders. They're only things that can really be exercised when we perform big movements outside. So the key to that really is just to spend as much time as you possibly can outside, whether that's at the park or whether that's walking around, walking to and from town, walking to and from nursery and reception, anything that you can do just to make sure that your child's able to exercise, their whole body. So going back to fine motor skills. Now, any activities which involve squashing, pinching, prodding, posting, threading, etc. Any activities which your child will use their hands and fingers to manipulate something. So this could be using scissors as well. And activities that can help this are threading and lacing with a variety of beads. So you can pick these up from charity shops, actually. We do have some at school that you can borrow when your child starts. But if you want things for at home, then you can find them from charity shops, I think, and you could probably order them quite cheap from online stores. Tongs or tea bag squeezers. So you can get sugar tongs as well. If you're posh, you can have sugar tongs. But anything like tweezers that you can squeeze together to be able to pick something up. But it needs to be sort of a small pair, rather than I know you can get big ones for cooking, but they've got big big things at the bottom. I mean, you could use those to start off with until your child's sort of develop that sort of grip, and then once they've developed that you can move on to the smaller ones. But you can use those for picking up marbles to go in a marble run, or if you make sure you've got plenty of time to do this, if your child has Lego or Duplo or something like that, when it comes to tidy up time, get them to pick the bits of Lego up one by one with the tongs. Yes, it's going to take some time, but if you make it into a bit of a race with your child, it will be quite a fun activity for them to do. Play-Doh is a great activity for fine motor control and fine motor manipulation, because they are squeezing, they're flattening it. Sometimes I get the children to stand up at the table and, you know, press down on the Play-Doh to flatten it, because this helps to just strengthen the arms and the shoulders. But rolling, you can get them to roll it. You can get them to roll it with one finger. You can try and get them to roll it between their fingers like this. So Play-Doh is a great one, and it's a good sensory thing as well, because it feels nice, doesn't it? It feels nice. And if you put in things like herbs or anything that might make it a little bit grainy, so that it's got a different texture, or just things that make it smell nice, so curry powder, chocolate powders, cocoa powder's a favourite of mine, but you have to watch them because it does smell good enough to eat. You could put in things like lavender, herbs from the garden, because they smell really, really, really fresh. But you know, you can add all sorts to Play-Doh, food colourings, obviously natural food scents as well, like essence. So yeah, once you've got the recipe, and I can upload that for you onto the Facebook group, then you can just add bits to it. Construction activities, so Lego or building blocks, these all help with you know, developing those muscles, but also in the hand-eye coordination as well, because that's part of learning how to write, is to make sure that you've got that hand-eye coordination. So things like K'NEX, Lego, Mobilo, any of those construction toys which you need to be able to push and pull apart as well. You can use clothes pegs. They do some nice plastic ones that have got a bit of a wider, platform for you to put your finger on than the wood ones. You can use those, or you can just use the wood ones. It doesn't matter. And just, you know, get your child to peg clothes, or you could peg a picture. You can peg pretty much anything. So just use your imagination and make it fun. And also cutting using scissors. So as your child develops those fine motor skills, holding on to scissors will be a little bit easier, and you will need to show your child how to hold the scissors, because children do have a tendency to hold them in a variety of different creative ways, but they're not very practical, and we need to just show them how to use those scissors properly. But they're, again, good activity for the hand-eye coordination, and also it's that action of moving your fingers together and apart to get the scissors to actually you know, work and snip. So like anything, practice makes perfect. So the more opportunities your child has to use their fingers and their hands and their wrists and that fine motor skills, the more opportunities that are there, the better, because yeah, it's a skill that the skills that they really need for learning how to write, because children, they're not just going to go into nursery or go into reception and just be able to pick up a pencil and start to write. They really need to have these fine motor skills well developed in order to hold a pencil with the correct tripod grip. Okay, which as adults we find you know, whichever way you grip your pencil, you find it easy, you just pick up a pencil and you do it. But for a child who hasn't got those fine motor control, fine motor skills developed, it is a very tricky thing to expect them to do. Like they actually cannot do it. So it's unfair of us to expect them to be able to write when they go into reception, they start learning their phonics, if they haven't got those developed yet. So I'm going to leave that with you, and good luck, and just keep everything fun. Thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful. Goodbye. I don't know why I waved then, but bye.